the attack on the community because they disagree with something you did. You performed for a guy they knew would do what he's doing.
A new Instagram video of comedian DL Hughley is going viral after he calls out none other than Snoop Dogg. What starts as a late-night rant quickly explodes into a full-blown feud between two cultural icons who once shared mutual respect. In the clip, Hughley questions Snoop's authenticity, accusing the rapper of betraying the very principles he built his legacy on. But what exactly pushes DL Hughley to confront Snoop so publicly, and why is the fallout spreading so fast? In today's video, I'll break down exactly what's happening. It's supposed to be another late-night stream, a space for jokes and unfiltered conversation. But DL Hughley's Instagram Live tonight quickly turns into something else, an unexpected flashpoint that pulls one of hip-hop's biggest icons, Snoop Dogg, straight into controversy. Thousands tune in as the comedian, known for his sharp tongue and fearless commentary, begins touching on the hypocrisy he sees in the entertainment industry. At first, he doesn't name names. He speaks broadly about how legends get away with actions that would destroy others. But as his tone darkens, fans sense a storm brewing. Then comes the name, Snoop, he says, his voice tightening. You can't talk about positivity and brotherhood one minute and then drag folks down the next. That's not OG behavior. That's contradiction. The live chat explodes. Some viewers flood the comments with fire emojis. Others beg him to stop before it goes too far. But DL doesn't back down. He claims that certain recent remarks Snoop makes about industry peers are divisive and dangerous, calling out what he sees as selective morality from someone who built a reputation as a peacemaker. The clip hits social media within minutes. By morning, it spreads across X, TikTok, and YouTube. The hashtag trends as fans debate who's right. Many praise Hughley for saying what others are too scared to, while others accuse him of stirring drama for attention. Comment sections turn into battlegrounds, each side dissecting every word. Snoop responds with a subtle but unmistakable post. A black screen with white letters reading, "I don't argue with clowns, I run the circus." It's smooth, dismissive, and perfectly Snoop. Yet the silence after speaks volumes. The feud has officially begun, and this time it's not just talk. Something deeper cracks between two respected voices of black culture. Before DL Hughley's viral outburst, the tension is already brewing. It begins with Snoop Dogg's headline performance at a Los Angeles charity concert, a night meant to celebrate unity and community upliftment. Cameras roll, the crowd is electric, and the energy is pure West Coast magic. But mid-performance, Snoop's freestyle takes a turn that few expect. Between verses, he slips in a line mocking unnamed comedians and so-called conscious brothers who talk too much and do too little. The jab seems casual, even playful, but those who know the industry sense it's not random. Online chatter quickly links the comment to DL Hughley, who recently speaks about hypocrisy in hip-hop culture during a podcast appearance. The tension that's been quietly simmering finally boils to the surface. Clips of Snoop's remarks spread online within hours, and speculation explodes. Is Snoop throwing shade at DL? Or is it just another unscripted Snoop moment, misinterpreted by the internet's watchful eyes? Fans begin dissecting every word. Some insist it's harmless freestyle banter, a veteran MC doing what he's always done. Others claim Snoop crosses a line, accusing him of disrespecting a fellow black public figure who has always stood for integrity and truth. DL, known for never biting his tongue, takes the comments personally. Behind the scenes, friends say he feels betrayed. The two have shared mutual respect for years, even collaborating on charity work and appearing at the same cultural events. What angers Hughley most isn't just the words, it's the context. You can't preach peace while you're promoting division, he reportedly tells a close friend. To him, Snoop's comments aren't about art. They're about character. That subtle performance moment, barely a few seconds long, is enough to ignite a feud that soon dominates headlines. A single lyric cracks open years of unspoken tension, and both men now stand on opposite sides of a cultural battlefield. The question isn't whether DL responds, it's how explosive that response will be. When DL Hughley finally addresses Snoop Dogg's jab directly, it's not with subtlety or restraint, it's with fury. Days after the performance clip goes viral, Hughley goes live again on Instagram, this time speaking to an audience that's grown tenfold since his first stream. His tone is calm at first, but underneath the composure, there's fire. He looks directly into the camera and says, "I've spent my whole life calling out hypocrisy, and if that makes people uncomfortable, good. But when someone who's been through it all, who's supposed to be the voice of peace, starts throwing stones, I gotta ask, what changed?" Then comes the line that breaks the internet. "Before you point fingers, Snoop, look in the mirror." The chat erupts. Thousands flood the comments with reactions, shock, support, disbelief. Hughley isn't just addressing Snoop's lyric, he's dissecting it. He accuses the rapper of becoming the very thing he once stood against, a man too comfortable in his own legend to be real anymore. He brings up Snoop's past advocacy for unity, his anti-violence initiatives, and his image as a peacemaker. "You built your legacy on love and loyalty," Hughley says. "Don't let ego erase that." For many watching, it's uncomfortable but captivating. Here are two icons, each respected, each influential, turning decades of mutual admiration into open confrontation. By the time Hughley ends the stream, clips of his passionate speech are already reposted across platforms, racking up millions of views. Hashtags like and surge across social media. Snoop remains silent for a day, an uncharacteristic move that only adds fuel to the fire. Insiders claim he's disappointed but not surprised. Others say he's strategizing his next move. Either way, the damage is done. DL throws down the gauntlet, transforming what starts as lyrical shade into a moral standoff. This isn't just about pride anymore, it's about principle, and both men seem ready to fight for theirs. When Snoop Dogg finally responds, it's not with a diss track or a direct mention of DL Hughley. It's with a measured, carefully worded statement during a live stream on his own Instagram. Sitting back in his trademark sunglasses, blunt in hand, Snoop smiles and says, "I don't do beef with brothers. If you think I was talking about you, maybe you guilty of what I said." It's classic Snoop, smooth, dismissive, and dripping with passive-aggressive confidence, but what he thinks will calm the storm only pours gasoline on the fire. Fans immediately take the comment as confirmation that he's referring to Hughley all along. Blogs run headlines like "Snoop subtly confirms he meant DL," and "Snoop's non-apology goes viral." Within hours, the internet divides into camps, those defending Snoop's right to express himself and those accusing him of dodging accountability. Even longtime fans admit the move feels out of character for the rapper who once prided himself on keeping peace in the culture. Hughley isn't impressed either. On his morning radio show, he mocks Snoop's response without naming him directly. "It's funny how people say, 'I don't do beef,' right after cooking up a full plate," he says with a laugh. The audience roars, but the tension underneath is undeniable. Behind the scenes, mutual friends try to mediate, urging both to de-escalate, but neither is ready to back down. Snoop feels publicly disrespected. Hughley believes he's standing on principle. What should be a moment of dialogue becomes a cycle of subtle digs and cryptic posts. Even as Snoop tells fans he has nothing but love for Hughley, his words carry an edge that makes reconciliation seem impossible. His defense, meant to restore his cool-headed image, only deepens the divide. And for the first time, the public starts asking a dangerous question: does this feud come from respect or from power? The tension between DL Hughley and Snoop Dogg doesn't appear out of thin air. It has roots stretching back years. Long before this recent explosion, the two quietly clash in 2017, during a time when Snoop pushes his positivity over beef message and DL speaks out about hypocrisy in the entertainment industry. Back then, their disagreement is subtle, easy to miss unless you're paying close attention, but those who remember know this new feud is the echo of an old wound that never heals. It begins when Snoop publicly criticizes certain comedians for using pain as profit, a comment made during an interview on The Breakfast Club. Though he doesn't name names, Hughley takes offense, believing the remark is aimed at him and others who address racial and social issues through humor. Within days, DL responds on Twitter, "Comedy tells truth. If truth hurts, that's your problem, not mine." The post goes viral, and though Snoop never replies directly, the air between them cools. They're both icons in their lanes. Snoop, the peacemaker turned business mogul; DL, the truth-telling comedian unafraid of uncomfortable conversations. But beneath their public civility lies a quiet philosophical divide. Hughley values transparency over diplomacy, while Snoop values loyalty over confrontation. Their differences, once manageable, now feel like time bombs waiting to detonate. By 2020, after appearing at a charity gala together, fans think the tension fades. Photos show them laughing, embracing, exchanging compliments, but as insiders later reveal, it's surface-level peace. They respected each other, one mutual acquaintance says, but they didn't trust each other anymore. So when Snoop's offhand lyric resurfaces years later, it's not just about one performance, it's about everything that's gone unsaid since 2017. The past has simply caught up, and this time, walking away quietly isn't an option. The old feud returns sharper, louder, and ready to explode in full view of the world. Once the feud hits full stride, social media turns into a battleground. Hashtags like and flood timelines across X, Instagram, and TikTok. Every clip, every quote, every reaction becomes ammunition in a digital war of opinions. One side hails Snoop Dogg as a real OG, who's earned the right to speak freely without being policed by comedians. The other side sees DL Hughley as the lone truth teller brave enough to call out double double standards in the entertainment industry. Podcasts, YouTube panels, and celebrity blogs dissect every moment like a cultural autopsy. On The Shade Room, fans debate whether DL is holding Snoop accountable or just looking for relevance. On TikTok, creators make side-by-side videos analyzing their interviews, tone of voice, and even body language. Every smile, every pause becomes evidence of who's really right. The story is no longer just a celebrity feud. It's a nationwide conversation about authenticity, age, and respect in Black entertainment. Even other celebrities chime in. Ice Cube posts, "Both my brothers got love for each other. They'll figure it out." Steve Harvey, a longtime friend of Hughley, offers a more pointed take on his radio show. If you say something about a man, you gotta be ready for his response. Ain't no peace without honesty. His words only fuel the debate. Some see them as a subtle endorsement of DL, others view them as a dig at Snoop's passive reaction. Meanwhile, both men's followings grow. Snoop's Instagram lives are packed with loyal fans defending his every word. Hughley's clips rack up millions of views from audiences who praise him for keeping it real. Yet with each upload, the tone online grows darker. Trolls flood the comments, spreading rumors and mocking both men's careers. It's clear now, the feud has outgrown them. It's no longer about two icons, it's about what they represent. And as the internet chooses sides, one thing becomes certain. Reconciliation will be far harder than either man imagines. Behind the loud headlines and viral sound bites, there's a deeper message buried in DL Hughley's words, one many miss at first. For him, this isn't merely about Snoop Dogg's freestyle or a public insult, it's about a culture that, in his view, has grown too comfortable letting icons off the hook. During one of his follow-up live streams, Hughley speaks with a tone that's more reflective than angry. "It ain't personal," he says. "It's about principles. If you claim to stand for peace, then live that. Don't flip it when the camera's on." The line resonates with thousands who see Hughley as a rare voice of consistency in an industry that thrives on silence and loyalty over truth. In his mind, the issue isn't Snoop's words, it's the hypocrisy behind them. He accuses too many celebrities of preaching unity but practicing exclusion, of hiding behind their fame while deflecting accountability. "We can't keep protecting people just because we love what they used to be," he adds. Growth means being willing to call it out even when it's uncomfortable. But that stance comes with a cost. Some fans applaud Hughley for refusing to bow to fame politics, while others accuse him of breaking an unwritten code. Never publicly challenge another Black entertainer who's done good for the culture. In their eyes, his critique crosses the line from honesty to betrayal. The backlash is fierce. Comment sections fill with accusations that he's trying to stay relevant, jealous of success, or feeding controversy for clicks. Still, Hughley stands firm. "If telling the truth makes you uncomfortable," he says, "that says more about you than it does about me." Through the chaos, one thing becomes clear. Hughley isn't just fighting with Snoop Dogg. He's fighting the system that allows celebrity worship to silence integrity. His message, raw and unfiltered, forces everyone watching to choose between comfort and accountability. And whether fans love or hate him for it, he refuses to back down. Snoop Dogg's silence doesn't last long. Days after DL Hughley's last live stream, the rapper goes live on Instagram himself, and for nearly 30 minutes, he speaks straight from the gut. Sitting in his recording studio, surrounded by platinum plaques and swirling smoke, Snoop begins with a slow grin. "Man, y'all been talking," he says, shaking his head. "Everybody think they know what I meant, but half of y'all don't even know me." Then his tone shifts. Gone is the laid-back, joking energy fans expect. What follows is part confession, part challenge. "When I said what I said on that mic," he explains, "I wasn't dissing nobody in particular. I was talking about a mindset, a fake type of energy that's been floating around. People switch up when the light's on. I've seen it too many times." He pauses, leans back, and adds, "But if somebody think that shoe fit, I ain't the one who made it their size." That line hits hard. The internet interprets it as a direct shot at Hughley. Fans flood the comments, begging Snoop to clarify, but he refuses to name names. Instead, he goes deeper, calling out what he describes as performative outrage and media folks who use other people's business for views. Without saying it outright, his message is clear. He believes DL turns their misunderstanding into a public spectacle for clout. Still, flashes of sincerity cut through the defiance. "I got love for that brother," Snoop says. "Ain't no hate in my heart, but I ain't about to let nobody rewrite my story." His words strike a balance between defense and reflection, but the damage is already done. Screenshots and clips of the stream go viral within minutes, headlines twisting each quote into new controversies. By the time he ends the live with, real ones know what's real, the conversation has already spiraled. For many watching, his message isn't about peace. It's a reminder that in the digital era, even explanations sound like ammunition. As the feud rages online, a quieter, more delicate battle unfolds behind the scenes. Industry insiders say the tension between DL Hughley and Snoop Dogg has grown beyond public statements. It's begun to affect their professional circles. Mutual friends who once brought them together at charity events and industry functions are suddenly forced to pick sides. It's bigger than just words now, one source says. It's about reputation, loyalty, and who's really standing for what. Behind closed doors, both camps are strategizing. Hughley's team, according to a producer close to his radio show, wants him to stay on message, focus on accountability, not personal attacks. They believe the public respects his outspokenness, and leaning into his truth-teller persona will strengthen his legacy. Meanwhile, those in Snoop's circle push for calm. One insider from Death Row Records management says, "Snoop don't want beef, he just don't like being misread, but when folks twist your piece into weakness, sometimes you gotta remind them who you are." There are even whispers that other prominent figures in entertainment try to mediate privately. Steve Harvey, a longtime friend to both men, reportedly reaches out to each, urging them to talk it out like brothers. But neither seems ready. For Hughley, it's about principle. For Snoop, it's about pride. And once pride enters the conversation, reconciliation becomes nearly impossible. Still, there are moments of hesitation. Sources claim Snoop later admits he misses the old days, when disagreements don't turn into media frenzies. Hughley, too, reportedly says he never wanted it to go this far, but felt the truth had to be spoken. What starts as an exchange of words evolves into something deeper, a reflection of how fame, ego, and integrity collide in the public eye. Both men make their points, yet neither wants to be the first to back down. And as their feud simmers beneath the spotlight, one question lingers. Will time heal the rift, or will silence become their final statement? Months after the Instagram storms settle, the noise finally fades. But in Hollywood, silence rarely means peace. It often means calculation. Insiders whisper that both Snoop Dogg and DL Hughley are done talking. Not because the feud is over, but because they both realize how far it's gone. Each man takes public hits, gains new supporters, and loses a few old allies. What starts as a disagreement about principles turns into a cultural commentary on ego, authenticity, and the fragility of legacy. Snoop's public image barely wavers. His easy charisma and long-standing reputation as hip-hop's calmest legend keep his fan base loyal. He shifts his focus back to music, podcasting, and family life, never mentioning DL's name again, though occasionally posting cryptic captions that fans can't help but interpret as subtle digs. Some folks talk, others move, he writes in one post, earning millions of likes. DL Hughley, on the other hand, leans further into his truth-teller role. His radio segments and stand-up routines start weaving in themes of accountability and courage, with thinly veiled references to the feud. He never apologizes, but he reflects. Sometimes the truth costs friendships, he says during one performance, but silence costs your integrity. The audience applauds, knowing exactly who he means. Privately, both men reportedly feel regret, not for what they said, but for how public it all became. Those close to them claim there's been brief communication through mutual friends, but nothing direct. It's not hate, says one source close to Snoop, it's just space. In an industry that thrives on conflict, both DL and Snoop learn a hard truth. Once the public owns your story, you never fully control it again. So, can they ever reconcile? Possibly, but not in front of cameras. Both men are too proud, too seasoned, and too aware of how fast forgiveness can be misread as weakness. For now, their silence speaks louder than any diss track or live stream ever could. It's the sound of two giants walking different paths, still bound by a feud that says more about the culture than it does about them. The feud between DL Hughley and Snoop Dogg isn't just a clash of egos. It's a mirror reflecting the complexities of fame, loyalty, and truth in today's culture. What begins as a few sharp words spirals into a movement of divided voices, each demanding accountability in their own way. Hughley's fire and Snoop's cool defiance create a conversation far bigger than the men themselves. One about what it means to stay real in an industry built on image.